and that is your compensation as a CEO. You are the one that took the risk. You are the one that signed the lease, and you are the one that put your name, your credit, and your reputation on the line to build this practice. But most med spa owners that I meet, they're either grossly underpaying themselves or worse, they're not paying themselves at all. They will come to me on our onboarding call and they will say, I'll start paying myself once the business is more stable, or I don't want to take too much because the team comes first. And you guys, that sounds very noble, but what that really does is starve you. It drains you and it eventually is going to burn you out. So today I really want to help you make a shift to see your pay as not an afterthought, but as a non-negotiable line item. Because if you are not valuing your role as a CEO, I promise you, no one else will. It has to start with you. But it starts with you, and it starts with a mindset shift, because ultimately, here's the truth. Paying yourself is not greedy. Paying yourself is not greed. It's not selfish. It is the reward for carrying the weight of ownership. You are the one carrying the sleepless nights. You are the one taking all of the financial risk. You carry the responsibility for your team and ultimately for your patients too. And yet most owners continue to act like employees, paying everyone else first and themselves last, or worse, like I said, not at all. So I want you to hear this very clearly. You are not just an injector. You are not just a manager. You are not just an operator. You are the CEO. And what that means is you have to pay yourself in two ways. So let's break it down. One, the salary for the work that you do inside of the business. And two, profit distributions for the risk and for the vision of being the owner of the practice. And this is the mindset shift. I need you to stop asking, can I afford to pay myself? Instead, I need you to start asking yourself, what is the right structure for my pay as being the CEO of this practice? Now, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, okay, what does a healthy CEO pay look like? So I want to anchor this in industry validated context and benchmarks. So that way you're not really guessing how much you can pay yourself. So healthy medical spas are typically going to land in the mid 20s net margin. And yes, there are many out there that report 20 to 25% as a common target when operations, when SOPs, when KPIs and financials and your team and your sales trainings and your marketing are all tight. The owner income ranges that you're typically going to hear are going to be anywhere roughly from 300,000 to 375K. And these are widely cited pretty much anywhere if you want to look. MedSpa has reporting on this. There's market analysis all over. But you guys, your exact number is going to depend on so many variables. It's going to depend on your practice's maturity, what your model is, how much you operate clinically versus purely. So if you are the owner, I want you to remember these are ranges, these aren't rules. So I'm not telling you open a med spa and make 375K. It's going to range based on, like I said, your maturity, your model, what your investments are, what your devices are. But with that being said, I am going to share with you today a design that is really structured to fit your stage of where you're at without starving or stalling your growth. I want you to have that mindset shift that you are able to pay yourself and pay yourself well, but you can still grow. You can still pay your team. You can still put some aside for a rainy day or for emergencies. All of those things can live together at once. So some sources are going to show you higher or lower margins depending on your location, your scale. I'm going to give you today kind of like the center lane of where most owners can hit as long as they're disciplined. So your pay is real, it's repeatable, and it's defensible. So let's break down what this kind of CEO formula is going to look like, the CEO pay formula and what that looks like. So a balanced model of that center lane, I want you to start using this month. Okay, this is going to intentionally protect your salary, protects your profit, and still funds your growth. So this is going to be kind of the formula. Your COGS and supplies is going to be about 20 to 30%. Your team compensation, and this doesn't include you as the owner, this is your team's compensation. This is going to be 25 to 30%. Your operating expenses, 15 to 20%. Now, your CEO salary, this is going to be your operator pay, is going to be 8 to 12%. And you guys, this is fixed and this is paid monthly. And now your owner profit distribution, this is going to be anywhere between 5 and 15%. And I want you to set this profit distribution to a cadence. So decide whether you want that paid monthly, whether you want that paid quarterly, but stick to it. Then your growth and reinvestment fund is going to be anywhere from 5 to 10%. And what I want you to do with this growth or reinvestment fund, or your rainy day fund, or your emergency fund, whatever you want to call it, I want you to put this in a separate account and do not touch it. Do not touch it. Do not keep it in the same account. It has got to be somewhere separate where you are almost forgetting you have it until that emergency comes or that right opportunity for an investment comes your way. So keep it somewhere separate so that way you're not tempted to use it on useless things or to do things that aren't a part of the strategy. Keep it separate. So salary, I want you to think about this. Your salary is going to get paid just like you pay rent. I want you to understand that your salary should be fixed. It should be reliable and it should not be whatever is left in the month. So again, I want to recap this. Distributions are going to be scheduled. We're not going to do that off of emotion. We're not going to say, oh, this was a good month, I'm going to take this much, or oh, this was a bad month, I'm not going to take this much. Those are emotional decisions. Distributions are going to be scheduled and fixed. If a bucket, and when I say bucket, meaning team compensation, your COGS, because you guys are your COGS, as we all know, that's going to fluctuate. So if you're noticing that any of those buckets that I talked to you about in the formula is kind of squeezed or a little bit tighter or inflated than you want, we optimize operations and not your salary first. Because if there are things like your COGS are fluctuating at a rate that is unpredictable, then we need to tighten up our operations of what are our ordering protocols? Do we have the best deals out there? When's the last time I've talked to my rep and renegotiated my contracts? When's the last time I've done like a COGS analysis with my consultant or on my own to kind of get a hold of that fluctuation? So when you're noticing that something is a little bit more inflated in those buckets that we talked about, go to optimizing your operations first. Please don't take from your salary or your pay first just to, handle that drift. So I want to break it down in very easy numbers. So if on a $100,000 monthly revenue, this model is going to target the following. So 8 to 12,000 is going to be your CEO salary. 5 to 15,000 is going to be your owner distributions. So that means ultimately 13 to 27,000 is going to be your total owner pay. And this is while you're still, because remember our strategy, the buckets in the formula that we talked about, this is your take home. It's fixed. It's there. And we're still funding operations and growth because remember, in a separate account, we put that 5 to 10% where it's for a rainy day or for an investment. So we are still funding operations. We're still funding growth. We're still building a safety net. Our team is still taken care of. COGS are taken care of. Operations are tight. And you have now figured out a way strategically by using this formula to assume what you're going to get every month. It's going to be fixed. So you guys, again, I can't stress this enough. This is going to require discipline. If you are someone who is watching right now and you're like, well, my pay has been so inconsistent. I've been a practice owner for 3 years, 10 years, 15 years. Every month it's something different. Then this message is for you. You are the one who is operating on the drift. You're not accounting for strategy. So this is going to take discipline and a mindset shift that we talked about. And ultimately, more importantly, strategy. And where does strategy come? I know you're yelling in the crowd, MJ, we know what you're going to say next. It's your numbers, you guys. You hear me say this every coaching call I do. You have got to know your numbers. If you don't know your KPIs, if you don't look at your P&L and do financial health checks for yourself, you are flying blind. You can't make decisions based off data if you don't know the data. If at that point, you're just making emotional decisions based on what you're seeing in a bank account or what's going on. You have got to implement with strategy, and you have to know that by doing regular financial health checks. So that way you can see that drift early, cut low ROI spend before you cut your pay. So do not immediately just take out of your own pocket when you see adjustments need to be made. You guys, you did not take the risk to be a practice owner to live off of scraps. You carry the late nights, the payroll stress, the liability. Your compensation is not a guilty pleasure or an afterthought. This is the reward for the risk and the engine of your staying power, because you've heard me talk about this in a lot of my CEO coaching calls. This is where burnout happens. This is where resentment happens. This is where you're late at night and you're burning the midnight oil and your pay is so inconsistent that you're just scratching your head like, what did I do? You have to implement with strategy. Get the right people on your team. Have a manager that can help you with financial health checks. Have a set of consultant like us at Diamond Accelerator who can kind of lead and navigate you towards the right strategy, so that way your pay is consistent. Because when your pay is secure, your decisions are going to get calmer. Your decisions are going to get cleaner and they're going to get bigger. Then you are at a position where, again, you're thinking clearly and you're working on the business and not in the business. And the resent is at bay. So I want to give you guys a couple of quick tips here, some speed fixes if you feel like cash is tight. So number one, I want you to lock in a baseline salary for yourself, but it cannot be zero. So right now, if you're like, MJ, I haven't been paying myself for years and I've been a practice owner. Well, you know what? That changes this month because we're going to implement this formula and this strategy. So I want you to lock in what a baseline salary could be after you look at the numbers, after you implement the formula of what percentage of everything needs to go towards COGS, your team, your growth. Wherever we had applied those buckets, lock in your baseline salary, but please do not make it zero. I also want you to schedule, if you need to, micro distributions. So that way, if you're someone who's going to get overwhelmed by that much leaving your business's bank account at once, if you need to schedule micro distributions, so that way it's like 3% of what you're going to get, then, as you feel more comfortable seeing that leave your bank account into your personal bank account, then you can start growing them accordingly once you start feeling a little bit more comfortable in the strategy that we had talked about today that you're now implementing. And the last thing, again, speed fix if cash is tight, protect that growth fund. That is, do not take from that growth fund. You want to make sure that that percentage that we have talked about, that 5 to 15% that you can stash away for emergencies, that is your practice's future. So that needs to be protected, because I can't tell you how many times I onboard a new client and I'm going through the discovery and I'm asking, do you have a cash reserve for an emergency if something breaks, or if there is an investment that you want to pull the trigger on? And so many people come to me saying, no, I don't have anything. If something were to break, I would be in a lot of trouble. So please protect that growth fund or that rainy day fund, because the future of your practice is really going to depend on that. So the strategy that we've kind of gone over today, and this discipline, and I cannot stress enough my use of the word discipline, because that's what it takes. It's so easy to take from yourself first, but you have to be disciplined enough to say that this is the reward that I get from the risk that I have taken and the risk that I've assumed of being the practice owner. So this discipline is how you can confidently pay yourself without stalling your growth. So this month, I want you to set the salary for yourself. I want you to set your distribution cadence, and I want you to move the growth percentage to a separate account. If you don't already have one open, you need to open that this month so that you do not touch it. And if you do just those 3 things, you are going to feel the weight shift off of you within 30 days. But let's do this exercise in October, and then by November, we're going to start seeing that strategy come into place, and we're going to have a consistent salary, consistent owner distributions. Again, you guys, I keep using this word discipline and risk because it is so real when you assume the risk of being a practice owner. So you took on that risk. You deserve the reward. You can have your cake and eat it too. And the reward is more money in your pocket consistently and a business that is protected and that keeps growing. So I really want you guys to take these strategies and do the best that you can to implement them with discipline. And if you feel like you don't have the support system that you need, if you are not a consulting client of ours yet, please reach out, drop a comment in the chat here, and we will reach out. We'll do a financial health check. We'll do your strategy session to see where your highest leverage moves are and how we can help you place those funds in necessary buckets. Okay, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat here. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I hope that this formula was impactful for you. Take it, implement this strategy with discipline. You will find us same time, same place every Wednesday, live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Thank you for joining, and have a great week.